Watch crossfire. I can reach in and unlock the door. Crossfire, bro.
Fill in the traffic tap, or we all back up, take over, try to wake him up. Have them drop the gun outside of the vehicle, and then we step him out, make contact.
Yeah,
True. But that also means go and grab the gun. Is the door online?
I don't remember what I remember about that. Sorry.
Sheridan claimed he intentionally avoided emails about the case from his own attorney.
My normal protocol for any Melendrez issues was I normally didn't open it and look at it.
One of the biggest issues in the Maricopa County Sheriff's race is a landmark civil rights lawsuit that, as of today, has cost the county $350 million, and the meter is still running. Right now, one of the two candidates running for sheriff is accused of mishandling that case.
Municipal League Attorney Keith Wren presenting a settlement proposal to the Sherwood City Council for a lawsuit against the city for alleged police brutality. Robert Ward filed the lawsuit saying a Sherwood officer, quote, violently threw him to the ground, slamming his head into a brick and causing a traumatic brain injury back in 2019. According to case documents, Sherwood police were called to Ward's house for a noise complaint. When police arrived, the records say Ward used profanity, and the officer proceeded to tell him not to use foul language. Ward responded saying it was his property and he would continue, which is not a crime. After a second time using profanity, officers arrested him. In a letter from the Arkansas Municipal League, settlement negotiations have not been successful. Ward's attorneys are asking for $3.5 million, and the league does not agree with that amount.
And while we believe that we will ultimately be successful and prevail at trial, that is ultimately up to 12 jurors.
The league is presenting a settlement of $75,000 along with paying attorney's fees.
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon.
The City Council unanimously approved the proposal. THV 11 reached out to Ward's attorney for comment. He said, quote, it's pretty insulting, not just to our client, but also to the concept of the First Amendment. We will see you in court.
A retired police sergeant accused of crashing into a motorcycle while under the influence is now in custody. Michael Egan was booked into the Sangamon County Jail this afternoon. Egan faces charges of aggravated DUI.
Michael Egan was arrested today by Illinois State Police under aggravated driving under the influence. ISP's initial investigation says Egan failed to yield and collided with two people on a motorcycle. He's accused of turning left into the path of the bike. ISP conducted a blood test before the warrant was issued this morning. One of the motorcycle riders remains hospitalized, while the other has been discharged.
A motorcycle crash by a former officer. The Springfield community angry with local law enforcement for treating officers differently than the public.
Justice for Chelsea and Trevor, Sonia Massey, and everybody else in the town who can't understand why these tragedies keep happening at the hands of, the good guys doing bad guy stuff and immediately covering it up on camera.
Caitlin's sister, Chelsea Farley, will have to relearn how to walk after being struck by the former Springfield Sergeant, Michael Egan.
Good morning and welcome to the Bad Apple Report. It's 7:30 a.m., bright and early right here at home on the range. Thank you so much for being here today, folks. I really appreciate it. We're going to have to get through a tough story to start our day, so let's just get right on with it. I'll shoot you in the effing face. The D.C. cop shoots and kills black man sleeping in his car after startling him, the video shows. Okay, police officer said they shot and killed Justin Robinson because he grabbed hold of an officer's gun after he was roused from sleep inside his car, which had crashed into the side of a McDonald's earlier this month. But the body camera video released Monday by the Metropolitan Police Department shows the officer sticking his gun into the driver's window side, telling Robinson, I'll shoot you in the effing face, before Robinson grabs hold of the barrel of the gun in what appears to be an attempt to avoid getting shot in the face. But that cop and the second cop fired more than 10 times, killing the 26-year-old black man who was employed as a violence interrupter for Cure the Streets, according to the Washington Post. Cure the Streets is a public safety program launched by the city's Attorney General's office aimed at reducing gun violence, according to the Attorney General's website. Okay, well, that's him right there. That's the cop blowing him away. Okay, now Robinson's family has retained an attorney. He woke up to a firearm inches away from his face. He had a natural inclination to move the firearm away, Burrell wrote in a text message Tuesday morning. MPD officers began discharging their weapons and continued to fire upon Justin even after they backed up out of his reach. What happened to Justin is not de-escalation. It wasn't proportional, and it wasn't reasonable. It was brutality. And what you should know if you haven't already seen the video is they had very much time, and his back window was down while he was asleep. They could have just taken care of the situation. They could have just... They woke him up and blew him away is what they did. That was what they were intending on doing, is what I think. That's my opinion. So Robinson's sister, Trelicia, also questioned the officer's tactics. He said, "I'll shoot you in the effing face." He was rolling the window down. "Why did you place the gun in the window and tell him that?" she told. Keep in mind, the back window right behind him was completely down. They could have just reached in there and shook him and said, "Hey, wake up, dude." But they didn't. No aid was rendered. If you thought that he was slowly waking up, all these things leading up to his death could have been prevented. Two officers who opened fire have been identified as Vasco Mateus and Brian Gilchrist and have been placed on paid administrative leave while they are investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office for D.C., according to the Washington Post. The two 18-minute body cam videos released by the Metropolitan Police Department on Monday are from the body-worn camera of those two guys. So they've edited down the footage for here, and I'm going to edit it down even further to show it to you guys. Okay, so real quick, the shooting took place at around 5:30 a.m. on September 1st when police responded to a call that the car had crashed into the side of a McDonald's. When police arrived, they spotted a gun on Robinson's lap and spent several minutes strategizing on how to remove the gun from his lap. They also parked their vehicles in front of his car and behind his car to block any attempt of Robinson to flee. Several officers then surrounded his car from both sides with their guns drawn, one officer warning the others of a potential crossfire, and another officer advising them to aim down to avoid shooting each other. But not once did they attempt to rouse him from his sleep, likely because they feared he would shoot them. Oh, is that what it was? Okay. It was not until 10 minutes later. 10 minutes. That's a long time, folks. "Movement, I've got movement," an officer announced as he approached the driver's side window with his gun drawn. Seconds later, you guys know what happens. Okay, listen, I'm not going to read all that. We know what happens. And we're going to show a little piece of the video. And thank you so much for being here today, folks. It's a great show. And it's a great show because you're here. Thank you for watching the Bad Apple Report. And we'll see you at the end of the show.
Morning, authorities say that officer sexually assaulted at least 3 female inmates while he was transporting them from Marion County to a facility in Lebanon. These new details just in from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. They say the suspect is 83-year-old Marshall Raines.
What? 83?
This happened between September of 2022 and March of last year. At the time, he was working as a part-time bailiff and court officer. Raines had a warrant out for his arrest and turned himself in yesterday. He is no longer employed by the Sheriff's Department. Raines faces multiple charges now, including sexual battery, sexual contact with inmates, and official misconduct.
Is it fair to say that here in Springfield, enough is enough?
It's been enough.
Hundreds of residents gathered Monday outside of the Springfield Police Department demanding change.
My grandmother was who got reached out on social media through a family member of Trevor's, not the hospital, not the police. They did not contact us.
Many of those residents being families who have been impacted by police, including Sonia Massey's mother and the family of Chelsea Farley. She was hit by a recently retired Springfield police officer who is now accused of driving drunk. One of the things many are demanding are holding officers to the same standard as citizens.
I don't think after a police officer receives a DUI, he should be a police officer any longer.
This referencing Sean Grayson, the former deputy who shot and killed Sonia Massey, who had a previous DUI on his record. Witnesses on the scene the night of the motorcycle crash arguing that the officer who was responsible was treated differently.
When he did get placed into the officer's car, they let him sit in the front seat, and this is the treatment that they give one of their own. They wouldn't do this to me, or they wouldn't do it to an actual citizen. It's almost putting everybody on alert. Should I even trust officers? Right now, I wouldn't call 911. I wouldn't do it.
If everybody was out here initially and at the previous protest, maybe we'd have change by now. We don't know that that's true, but that's the point, is that it's all one big picture. Nobody's just out here for Chelsea. Everybody's out here to see them be held accountable.
It's certainly a fall from grace.
9 News legal expert Scott Robinson says Stanley can't be jailed for unethical behavior, but disbarment is nearly as severe. The state's complaints accuses Stanley of misconduct while handling the murder case against Barry Morphew.
If District Attorney Linda Stanley had only violated discovery rules and withheld exculpatory evidence, I don't think she would have been recommended for disbarment.
The state says Stanley made inappropriate comments about the case to the media and launched a secret investigation into the presiding judge in retaliation for his rulings.
We want to make sure that the people who are representing the state of Colorado in criminal cases are acting ethically. And the vast majority of prosecutors do just that. And that's why it was really troublesome to learn about what Linda Stanley was accused of.
The Colorado Supreme Court will make the ruling on Stanley's future.
They are the final say.
Attorney Iris Edon, who represented Morphew, hopes the disbarment sticks. In a statement to 9 News, she writes, "This was absolutely the right outcome. Linda Stanley will no longer be permitted to wield significant power as a prosecutor." Edon says this only came about after Stanley harmed many people and caused great damage. The Colorado District Attorney's Council says Stanley is still the acting DA as the disbarment won't take effect for another 35 days.
Marcel Brown was sentenced to 35 years in prison for a murder he did not commit. He actually served 10 of those years before he was exonerated. His attorneys tell us that he was inside an interrogation room for more than 30 hours. He was banned from receiving legal counsel. He was given little food, and they say his phone call requests to family were denied.
This jury saw what happened in that interrogation room as mental coercion, psychological coercion. His constitutional rights were violated.
In August of 2008, Paris Jackson died after being shot multiple times here at Amundsen Park. Marcel Brown, 18 at the time, was arrested and charged as the getaway driver.
He goes over to the park to pick up his sister. People start shooting. They accused Marcel of being an accomplice, having been involved in the shooting. He had nothing to do with it.
Brown's lawsuit against the city, CPD, and an assistant state's attorney claims he was coerced into confessing because prosecutors wanted to quickly close the case with, quote, minimum effort. His interrogation all on video.
I was just a kid. I felt like a slave. They put me in a den full of lions.
Brown left the Dirksen Federal Building today after a jury awarded him $50 million in punitive damages. Joined by family, Brown says his mother was his rock through the process.
She had more faith than me sometimes, so when I ever felt down, I talked to God. When I couldn't talk to him, I looked to her.
Attorneys say it's one of the first wrongful conviction cases to go to trial after state law changed, where murder interrogations have to be videotaped.
This $50 million verdict ought to be a wake-up call and a message to Mayor Johnson and Superintendent Snelling that it is time to get a grip on the way the Chicago Police Department is conducting its interrogations.
Marcel Brown.
It's not enough just to describe Jerry Sheridan as Joe Arpaio's right-hand man. He described himself this way.
The sheriff is more like the board of directors. The CEO of the company would be like me.
In the role of chief deputy, Sheridan was the highest paid law enforcement employee at MCSO.
We are doing our job.
In charge of all operations, making over $180,000 a year. But when questioned about his level of culpability during MCSO's largest and most expensive lawsuit ever, Sheridan repeatedly downplayed his knowledge and his memory. Melendrez. The massive civil rights lawsuit beginning in 2007, exposing how the sheriff's office used unconstitutional police tactics.
Way to go, Joe!
Made for TV sweeps, satisfied many voters' appetite for something more to be done about illegal immigration. But the courts ruled they illegally targeted Latino communities and drivers based on the color of their skin.
Enough is enough.
Rounding up immigrants and citizens alike.
It hurts. It hurts to be unfairly treated.
The case also exposed widespread dysfunction. While dedicating resources to sweeps, the office failed to investigate hundreds of child sex crime cases and failed to transport inmates to court hearings.
I knew there was something going on with Melendrez. It started back when I was running the jail system.
Sheridan distanced himself from the case, noting he was promoted to deputy chief after it began.
It was a minor issue. It was maybe nuisance litigation, whatever you want to call it.
But Sheridan was the one in charge during key events, including the 2011 injunction the office disobeyed, the trial in 2012, and the ruling in 2013.
Sheridan and I, we're the top guys, and we took the heat for my organization.
The result was a list of costly court-ordered reforms that critics said Sheridan and Arpaio made worse.
One branch of government has now told the other branch of government you were wrong in your conduct.
I mean, either they were lying or they're incompetent.
Evidence presented in the trial exposed a lack of ethics training and a culture of retaliation in the office. One hidden video in 2013 showed Sheridan telling deputies not to obey a court order.
It's Judge Snow that violated the 10th Amendment.
Judge Murray Snow concluded Arpaio and Sheridan disobeyed the injunction, failed to disclose evidence, failed to discipline misconduct of deputies, and cited numerous conflicts of interest Sheridan had on ethics matters. Snow said bluntly of Sheridan and Arpaio, "They lied to my face."
Legal jargon.
The interview, a kind of post-game discussion of what he did and did not know, shows Sheridan repeatedly using ignorance as his defense.
Preliminary injunction, enjoin, words like that didn't mean much to me then.
The court finds that you participated.
Even when asked about a meeting, Sheridan's attorney testified he slowly and carefully explained the court order to Sheridan and other chiefs.
You were at that meeting or you were not at that meeting?
You know, as I sit here today, I very well could have been, who knows what I was paying attention to.
I will be a constitutional sheriff.
After exiting law enforcement 8 years ago, Sheridan now seeks the top spot in the office.
I'm the right person for the job. I have the experience. I spent 40 years at the sheriff's office.
Sheridan says that experience makes him the most qualified.
I know the things that need to be done.
His promise to resolve ongoing issues as number one stands in stark contrast to his actions when he was number two.
I stand by my testimony. I'm not proud of the fact that I wasn't aware of it. But you have to understand, unless you were in my shoes, I could see where you wouldn't. Believe me.
One car to your front and one behind. There's 107 hands are left in the vehicle as well. I copy. He's crossing.
I need a car in the back.
It's open car.
Who's around?
Do we have an official response?
Hey, we're good for now. Nobody has any at all.
Good evening. I'm responding. Judge.
Where's the Hey, like 2 inches away. Everybody watch Crossfire. If you're not up here, at least to the back door, it's not your gunfight. Hey, these windows are open. Yo. Windows open. I can reach in and unlock the door. Crossfire, bro. guys, hey, listen. If you're aiming, like down, okay?
Oh no. Hold on, let's just see what we got.
Thank you. Well, stand by to be guided by it.
HRP 21. HRP 21. Press stand by. Can you mark the time that might be maybe
Lead, turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around.
Stand by, there's no rush. You just stand by?
Can you go fill in the traffic stop?
Huh?
Fill in the traffic stop, or we all back up, take over, try to wake him up, have them drop the gun outside of the vehicle, and then we step him out, make contact.
Yeah, I don't know.
But that also means go and grab the gun. Is the door online?
It looks like it is.
How slowly I keep unlocked for us to get the gun?
You want me to reach in and grab and unlock it? Firearm in the lap, the back window's down. I could reach in and unlock the door, and we can open it and go straight for the fire. He's still out. Or you want to back off?
I want to back off.
Back off.
Back off?
Back off.
Get somebody with the shield.
I bring shield right here. How is the people in McDonald's going? Movement. I got movement. Got movement. Sir, keep your hand off the gun. Sir, put your hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Put your hands up. Sir, don't touch the gun. Hands up. Hands up. Hands up. Get your hand off the gun. Put your hands up. Hey! Hey! Stop it!
7080, we have shots fired. 7080. Same location.
Hey, first, this my shots fired.
Shots fired.
Got the fire one?
7080, serving more units.
Move back, move back. Back.
Status code 120. Status code 1.
Hey, fire on the safe out of the way.
7-1, start the board.
Thank you all for being here. You know I really appreciate it. I'm going to whip up another batch of bad apples for you, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 7:30 a.m., bright and early. Have a great day, folks.